Warm greeting to all. This session we are going to discuss a rolling contact bearing. So rolling contact bearing, two types. One is ball bearing and another one is roller bearing. So here you can see the figure A, ball bearing, and this is roller bearing. So the ball bearing is placed between inner race and outer race, and in roller bearing the roller is placed between inner race and outer race, and this is radial ball bearing. The radial load is applied on the bearing, and this is thrust ball bearing. The axial force is acting on the bearing. So this is major types of rolling contact bearing, and this is ball bearing, and this is roller bearing, and spherical roller thrust bearing, radial tapered roller bearing, and ball thrust bearing, roller thrust bearing. So the different types of bearings and the components of bearings. So here you can see this is outer ring, and this is inner ring, and this is rolling element. This is gauge, so which holds the rolling elements, and this is seal. So this is oil seal placed both the sides of your bearing. So these are the major components of bearing. And standardization of ball bearing. So we'll have a standard number for the bearing, so it indicates the series designation. So this is we have taken a simple example, 6309 bearing. So the 6 indicates the bearing type, and 3 indicates the serial number, and 09 indicates the bore diameter, that is inner diameter of the bearing. So these are the symbolic representation of the bearing number. And the material and the manufacture of ball and roller bearing. So what are the material we are using, how they are manufactured, the ball and roller bearing. Since the rolling elements and the races are subjected to high local stresses, that is inner race and outer race subjected to high local stresses of varying magnitude with each revolution of the bearing. Therefore the material of the rolling element, that is steel, should be high quality. So the balls are generally made of high carbon chromium steel. The material of our both balls and races are heat treated to give extra hardness and toughness. So we need to give more hardness on balls and races. So the balls are manufactured by hot forging on hammer from steel rods. They are heat treated, ground and polished. The races are also formed by forging and then heat treated, ground and polished. So the lubrication of ball and roller bearing. The ball and roller bearing are lubricated for the following purpose: to reduce the friction and wear between the sliding parts of the bearing, to prevent rusting or corrosion of the bearing surfaces, to protect the bearing surfaces from water, dirt, etc., and dissipate the heat. So these are the four purpose we are using the lubrication oil. So the lubricant used, in general oil or light grease is used as a lubricant for ball and roller bearing. The pure mineral oil or a calcium based grease should be used. So if there is a possibilities of moisture contact between the ball and surface, outer surface or inner surface, then potassium or sodium based greases may be used. So advantages of greases is that form a seal to keep our dirt or any other foreign substances. The excess of oil or grease causes the temperature of the bearing to rise due to churning. The temperature should be kept below 90 degrees Celsius, and no case bearing should operate above 150 degrees Celsius. So the bearing, the temperature is 90 degrees Celsius during running condition. So the always we should not operate above 150 degrees Celsius. So the direction of axial and the radial loads. So the axial load is always parallel to the axis of the bearing, and the radial load is perpendicular to the axis of the bearing. So that's all about the ball and roller bearing. So the next session we are going to discuss sliding contact bearing. Thank you.